QuickBooks 1, new company setup, funding with assets. This is Ken Boyd, the owner of St. Louis Test Preparation. Here's our email and our phone number. We are on Facebook, and this is the first in what we hope will be a long series of how to use QuickBooks. What we're trying to do is to create some long connected examples so you can see a long string of transactions and changes through a specific company. That's what we're trying to accomplish here. What we're going to do today, and the reason we call this new company setup and funding, is I've made up a company based on an old client of mine called Joe's Tree Service. And what we're going to do is fund the business, which means we're going to contribute assets to our business. We're going to contribute cash, $50,000. And then we're going to contribute three assets: a truck with that's worth $15,000 book value, a stump grinder to grind up stumps when you take down trees of $5,000, an asset of $5,000. This is something that you're going to pull along behind your truck when you go to jobs to take down trees and clean up things. And finally, ladders, an asset that has a book value of $3,000. You'll notice also that we use depreciation. To depreciate all three of these assets, we're going to use straight line for everything. I've changed the years of depreciation: 5 years for the truck, 7 for the stump grinder, 10 for the ladders. So what Joe's Tree Service does is they run an ad in the yellow pages, and people call them up and ask them to cut down trees, remove tree limbs, take stumps out of the ground, those kind of things. So that's what Joe's Tree Service does. So I jump over to QuickBooks. I'm going to click on Create New Company File. And here's what pops up when I do that. And by the way, as you can see in the top corner here, I'm in QuickBooks 08. There's 3 basic sections. It says we will walk you through the basics by asking you questions and give you guidance along the way. In about 30 minutes, and I won't show the whole thing, you'll be ready to start using QuickBooks. So if you're a novice, you can go through the interview process. If you've used Quicken, Peachtree, or Office Accounting, some other system, and you'd like to convert it, that's an option. Or are you an accountant or QuickBooks expert? You can skip the interview altogether and go in and start doing business. Whether you select the interview page or not, you're going to enter company information. That's the first thing I've done here. So Joe's Tree Service, it asks for a tax ID or social, and I put in some numbers for that. You're going to have a tax ID in most cases if you're a business. Even if you're self-employed, you're probably going to get a tax ID. I put in a street address, phone number, email, website. The next thing it asks for is how is your company organized. You need to check with your accountant on this. In this case, Joe is a sole proprietor, which means he files Form 1040, which means all of his business information goes on his personal tax return. If you look in the income section on the first page of a Form 1040, it's around line 12. It's where you put income, and more specifically net income from your business. So that's what I put for this line. Next thing it asks for is the first month of your fiscal year. Now, in almost all cases, particularly for small business, the fiscal year happens to be the calendar year, and that's the way I'm making this company. So I said my fiscal year starts in January. QuickBooks goes on to ask you what type of industry you're in. I'm going to pick construction trades. You can think of a tree service company as a tradesperson. Based on that type of business, there are accounts that can go into a chart of accounts that are automatically going to load here. Okay, let's look at the top. It says, tell us your industry and we'll customize QuickBooks to work best for you. You'll be able to review our recommendations and change them in this interview. So keep in mind, if you want to add, delete accounts, not use accounts at all, or make up your own, you can. It goes on to say, and you'll see that the interview process, and I did skip interview, you still saw that green bar going across the interview process, and it's just about done. It says your QuickBooks information is stored in a file called Company File. When I click Finish, choose a file name and location to save your company file. So I'm going to hit Finish here, and we can see that in my company files, if I click my download, it's in my QuickBooks Company Files. There's some templates here that we can talk about later, and you can see that my company is Joe's Tree Service, so I'm going to save it. When I hit Save Company File, it took about 30 seconds to create a new company, and this is the basic QuickBooks page. And they do a very nice job visually of laying out 3 basic categories and then connecting the categories together. We have vendors at the top, people that you pay bills to. Could be your insurance company, could be your utility company, and so you see the enter and pay bills icons are in the vendor section. The customer, this section in the middle, deals with customers, and what do we do with customers? Well, we give them an estimate, we create invoices, and I love these arrows too. We get a payment, we record a deposit, we create a sales receipt. We also have statement charges that might hit our bank statement that we're going to post to receive payment also. Visually, very, very easy to use. And then below we have employees. We have time cards. It says learn about payroll options. I happen to have the payroll section of QuickBooks on my machine. We'll get to that later. Banking down here in the corner, I find one of the most challenging things is to reconcile bank accounts through QuickBooks. That can be challenging for folks. So you can see from received payments, we record deposits, we write checks, we have a check register just like you have in your physical checkbook that shows all the checks you've written, and you reconcile a bank account. Finally, up here in the top right-hand corner, we have the chart of accounts, which we're going to get to in a minute, items, which are services that you perform for people, and we're going to see those services when we create an estimate or an invoice, the types of services we create. Marketing tools I'm going to skip for our purposes. Our first step in trying to make this journal entry happen here is the owner is going to have to deposit cash into the business. And before I do that, I have to note something. When I go to my existing chart of accounts that I was given, you'll see that I have an undeposited funds account, which is a current asset, but I don't have a specific cash account. So if I jump back to Excel, what I'm going to do is go to Chart of Accounts. I'm going to add an account. That account is going to be a current asset, and the current asset account is going to be cash. So let's see how that works. Chart of Accounts. Click on the bottom right here. I'm going to go down to New Account. Since I don't see a current asset, these are income and expense accounts. I see asset and liabilities, but I don't see a current asset account, although I do see bank. So let's try bank. On the right, it gives us an explanation, and it says create one for each cash account, such as petty cash, checking, savings, etc. Okay, let's continue and see what happens. So you can see in my drop-down menu at the top, the type of account is a bank account. And this is going to be checking. And I'm not going to put in an opening balance here because I'm going to do a journal entry to fund that bank account. So I'm going to save and close. I'm going to ignore the online banking, although I know a lot of you will use online banking. For this example, I'm going to say no for the moment. And you see that we have a checking account, and the type is bank, and that account is going to be in our current assets section on the balance sheet. You can see that checking is grouped with other current assets like accounts receivable. So I'm going to close that window. Now that we have a cash account set up, our next step is going to be to make the journal entry. So we need to make a journal entry to debit to increase cash, and to credit, which increases owner's equity, which is the owner's worth that he has invested in the company. So the field I'm going to go to is company make journal entry. Let's do that. We're going to do it for $50,000. So company make journal entry, and it says here, QuickBooks now automatically assigns numbers to your journal entries. And I'm going to click OK. I'm going to change the date, and I'm going to make it 1/1/2011. It's entry number 1. I'm going to go to the account drop-down menu and choose checking. And we're going to have a $50,000 debit to increase the account. In my memo section, I'm going to say owner funding of business. Click on name. I'm going to skip the name for now, and I'm going to skip, let's go down to billable just to look at it, and you can see that there's a billable yes/no field. So I've got a debit to checking, which is a cash account. When I click on the next account line, you can see that I automatically have a credit, and the reason that I do is QuickBooks wants us to have a debit and a credit entry. I'm going to click the drop-down menu, and I'm looking for an equity account. Just to be clean, I'm going to put it in owner's equity. I'm not going to do opening balance equity because it sort of complicates things. So I'm going to do owner's equity. So now I have a debit to checking, which is a cash account. I have a credit to owner's equity. It's journal entry number 1, and it happened on 1/1/2011. I'm going to save and close. I get a warning signal that I think is gives some pretty good information. You are about to post to the retained earnings account owner's equity. Retained earnings is defined as all the earnings from our business less dividends. It says QuickBooks uses this account to track profits from earlier periods that have not been distributed. This is an automatically generated account. In most cases, you should post to another equity account. To continue to post to the retained earnings account, hit OK. To return to the transaction, set up and select another account, click Cancel. Let's click Cancel. And let's go back and see what the account would do if I hit Opening Balance Equity. So I've changed the account. I now have a credit of $50,000 to opening balance equity rather than owner's equity. Let's see what happens when I hit Save and Close now. I don't get any error message. Back to Excel, I've highlighted in bold the fact that I made this entry to debit the cash account. Let's see if we can make an entry to post that truck as an asset in the business. So I'm going to go through the same process, company, make journal entry. I'm going to get a new account, new journal entry number 2. Let's see if we can find an account that might be similar to vehicle or truck. And again, this account was set up for somebody who's in the construction or the trades business. So I'm going to scroll down here and just see if I can find something that might be appropriate. And I'm going to look in the fixed asset section here. I see there's an accumulated depreciation account, construction equipment, which I think would relate to the stump grinder and the ladders, but I don't see an account for a truck specifically. So I'm going to click out of this. And why don't I go back to Chart of Accounts, go down to Account, hit New. I'm going to create a fixed asset account, and you'll see here off to the side we get the message. Tracks the value of significant items with an asterisk that have a useful life of more than 1 year. So I'm going to hit Continue. The type of account is fixed asset. I'm going to say truck. And I'm going to hit Save and Close. So that now when I look at my chart of accounts, I have a truck listed that's a fixed asset. And I'm going to close that, and I was in the chart of accounts field. Now, if you remember, I'm going to post an entry to truck for $15,000 that's going to be contributed to the business. So I'm going to go to Company, Make Journal Entry. This is going to be the second journal entry on January 2nd. The asset, if I look in the fixed asset section, is truck. It's going to be a debit of $15,000. And I'm going to put in the notes section, owner truck to business. Now, another thing that is tricky with QuickBooks is it might be a good idea to copy down this memo explanation so it gets on both the debit and the credit. I'm going to click opening balance and equity for $15,000 also. Oops. I did $150,000. Now that's interesting. I did a $15,000 debit and a $150,000 credit, and look what QuickBooks did. It said in order to make this entry balance debit and credit, you need $135,000 debit. Let's take out a zero. And what I can do, it says the transaction is not in balance, so I'm going to get rid of that $135,000 by back like that. Let me look at my transaction again. 1/1/2011, entry number 2. I'm creating a fixed asset called truck by debiting to increase that account. I'm posting to opening balance of equity credit to increase that $15,000. Let's see what happens when I hit save and close. It says QuickBooks now uses fixed asset items and fixed asset listing reports to track fixed assets. If you want to create or edit a fixed asset item, you can do so in the fixed asset item list. So I'm going to hit OK for the moment, and I heard the click, which means that that entry went through. So I'm going to go back to my Excel. I'm going to highlight that one. I need to do the stump grinder for 5, and I need to do the ladders for 8. To save time, I went back in and did the same process in chart of accounts. I went down to new, and I created a ladder fixed asset account and a stump grinder fixed asset account. So I can go back to Company, Make Journal Entry. This is going to be entry number 3. And if I go back to Excel, I have a $5,000 stump grinder, $3,000 ladder. So I'm going to go to stump grinder, going to increase an asset account $5,000. I get that fixed asset report, and I also get the warning that the transaction is not in balance. I'm going to go to ladders, a fixed asset account right here. I'm going to make a $3,000 debit to ladders. Now let's see what happens. I get that warning. I get the warning that it's not in balance, and I need to take out a zero because it's 30,000. 3,000. Okay, still not in balance. I'm going to go to opening balance equity. Here are my equity accounts. Opening balance equity. It automatically fills a credit of 3,000. I'm going to say owner equipment to business, and I'm going to copy that same explanation down. So it doesn't matter if I look at the debit side or the credit side, I'm going to have that explanation on every line item, whether I'm looking at debits, credits, or whatever. Okay, the last thing I'd like to do is I'd like to verify what we've seen in QuickBooks so far. Basically, I want to verify that this entire journal entry got posted to the system. So I'm going to go back to my QuickBooks, and I'm going to go to Reports, Company Financial, and I'm going to go to Balance Sheet Standard. And you'll see in the balance sheet, and it's as of today, February 11th, when I'm making the video, I could change the date back to January 1st. So I changed the date to January 1st, and I hit refresh, and you see I get the same information. Here's our $50,000 cash deposit right there. There's the journal entry, checking account, journal entry 1 on this date. The memo entry that I can expand said owner's funding balance of business. Opening balance 50,000, so that got posted. I don't want to memorize the reports, I'll hit no. I have 3 fixed assets, the ladders, the stump grinder, the truck, totaling 23,000. I have assets of 73,000. I have total liabilities and equity of 73,000. So I can see that my entire transaction got posted. That's as far as we're going to get at the end of QuickBooks 1. We have continuous classroom where we have weekly live chats on critical accounting topics, including QuickBooks. Here's our YouTube channel, Ken Boyd STL, all one word. You'll see a complete list of our videos on our website. For live tutoring and chat, stltest.net is the website. Here's our email and our phone number. Thanks very much, and we'll see you next time.